Welcome back to Wellness Wednesday. So, for the last few weeks, we've been looking at how we eat, move, and think our thoughts, traumas, and toxins. And we've really spent the last 2 weeks on thoughts or how we think. Because how we think and how we talk to ourselves and how we handle stresses on an emotional level has a huge impact on our health, especially on a long term basis. And the thing is that there's stress in many different forms every day throughout the day. And if we don't learn to manage it, what happens is we have not only a negative cascade that triggers from our brain, which decreases the likelihood of our body to be able to heal, but it also brings up additional stress to our adrenals, which are the organs in our body that help us handle stress. And they were designed to allow us to run from tigers and bears, and they don't know the difference between having your boss yell at you and running from a tiger and a bear. So because of the level of stress and demand on our time these days, one of the things we can do to help our body is to learn how to manage our stress. And we've talked about a little bit about meditation and about Tai Chi and movement type of things. What we're going to talk about today is things you can do in the heat of the moment. So we all have a day that something happens and we just, bam, there it is. The stress is up. It instantaneously went from a great day to somebody's really kind of ruined it for you, or something's going on that you suddenly realize you're not going to have enough time to get it done. So the first thing you can do is just really, as soon as you hear a negative thought coming into your self-talk, is switch it to a positive. Now that's a little easier to say than it is to do in some ways, but it's the number one thing you can do 24/7 all the time for yourself. Ever since we were little, we hear no and negative way more often than we hear yes and positive. So what that did is it actually programs our subconscious to tell us the negative no almost hands down all the time. No matter what the situation is, even if it's something good, you'll think of, oh, what if, almost every time. So one of the best things you can do is really pay attention to your self-talk. And when you hear that negative input, switch it to a positive. You drop a pencil on the floor, you'd be amazed at how many of us kind of cuss ourselves out in our head. And really what you have to do is realize, okay, I dropped the pencil. It's not a big deal. Pick it up and move on. And there's a lot of undermining self-talk for little things like that every day in everyone's brain. And even more importantly is that positive look at something that you want, that goal, that raise you're trying to get, trying to finish a project, having that positive thought that you can do it and that the deadline is reasonable, and those types of things can make a huge difference in your ability to actually focus in and do the project and get it done, rather than have this negative timeline and then you start stressing out and you find that you can't focus and do the job. So the other one that works really well is to take deep breathing. And deep breathing is a great way to reset your day, both in the morning, right before you get into work, or at lunch, or if it's just been a really high stress day at work, do it before you get home, either in your car or when you first get home. Take a couple minutes and sit down and do some deep breathing. Now, when we're talking deep breathing, you really want to do it 3 times, and it's bringing air in through your nose, expanding your lungs as much as you can, expanding your belly, your diaphragm helps you breathe. So that should actually expand in a good deep breath. Hold it there just for a little bit. Don't want to feel like you're going to pass out, but just kind of hold it, let your body realize it's at its full capacity for long, and then let it out, ideally through your mouth. You can still let it out through your nose. But what that does is not only gives, after you do it 3 times, an extra kind of oxygen boost to the body, but focusing on how you breathe and be in connection with your body and its communication has a huge impact on stress and brings down that stress level. And lastly, there's the 30-second pause. This is a great one when you're going into like a work meeting that you're anticipating having to present, or a meeting where you anticipate there are going to be some bickering back and forth, something like that, between you and another coworker, or between trying to hash out how a project's supposed to be done, and one person has a really strong opinion about a method that nobody else wants to do, or something like that. Just take 30 seconds, really kind of center, bring yourself inward, and think of your favorite thing, whether that's a flower, your husband, your child, your dog, the best sunset you've ever seen on the ocean, whatever that is. Envision that and give yourself 30 seconds to enjoy what that is. And you will find that has a huge impact on your blood pressure, bringing it down. It'll enable you to then walk in and be in a calmer state. So if you are dealing with something that is a really high stress, when you walk into the room, your body's actually starting from a lower, more evened out emotional and chemical level, so that as the stresses vary, you have an appropriate response versus kind of having the adrenals kick off and then we go into fight or flight and then we either react too strongly or have verbiage that comes out that we didn't mean. So being able to regulate your daily stress has been shown to help with people with fibromyalgia. It actually decreases the risk of breast cancer to some extent, because breast cancer has been linked to stress. We've talked about that before in a lot of cases, not 100%, but in a lot of cases. It definitely decreases cardiovascular stress, and it ultimately will increase your mood. Stress has a huge impact on our mood and how we see the world. And doing these things on a daily basis, you can do it very quick. You can do it in your car, and it's an easy way to help your body stay as healthy as possible. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Give us a call at the office, 601-1313.